Greetings and welcome to the online lecture 4 of unit number 1 advanced vapor compression cycle. So in previous 3 lectures we have discussed transcritical cycle and their different types. So now we will discuss the simple ejector refrigeration system. This is another type of advanced vapor compression cycle. So in simple ejector refrigeration system, ejector is the main component. So first of all we'll discuss the working principle of ejector. So ejector mainly consists of primary nozzle. This is a primary nozzle and secondary nozzle, a mixing chamber, and diffuser. These are the main components of the ejector. So when the fluid flows through the primary nozzle, its pressure continuously decreases, and this primary nozzle is of convergent diverging type. So even though the portion is divergent, so as the air throat it exceeds the sonic velocity, so it creates the supersonic velocity. So pressure continuously decreases, velocity continuously increases. So pressure at this exit point is the lowest pressure, and this low pressure is responsible to suck the refrigerant, suck the secondary fluid from secondary nozzle. So secondary fluid pressure is suppose PL. So this pressure is greater than this pressure. So because of this pressure difference, the secondary fluid is entering into the ejector, and the mixing takes place at this particular point. Then the mixture made to flow through this particular mixing unit, and this mixing unit is a constant area chamber, and because of the addition of the fluid the in the constant chamber, the pressure increases even though the area is constant because of the addition of entrant fluid. So this is so the pressure rise happens in mixing unit. Then the pressure increases in diffuser section, because in the diffuser section is the divergence section. Due to Bernoulli's equation, as the area increases, the pressure increases. So this is how the pressure varies in ejector. So this is one type of ejector. It is called as a constant area chamber. Another type of ejector is used, that is called as a constant pressure chamber. In this case, the pressure remains constant in the mixing chamber. So mixing chamber, it is a consist of a convergent portion and the constant area. So in this particular case, this particular pressure remains constant. So let us discuss the pressure variation of primary and secondary fluid in this particular ejector. So when the fluid flows through the primary nozzle, so that is a convergent divergent type, continuously pressure drop happens. This is a pressure variation or pressure decrease of primary fluid, and the pressure here is the lowest, and this pressure, low pressure, is responsible to entrain the secondary fluid into the secondary nozzle. So the secondary nozzle enters into the ejector through secondary nozzle, and when it flows through the secondary nozzle, its pressure also decreases because of the decreasing area. So there is a pressure decrease of secondary fluid in the secondary nozzle. So this is the mixing point. Then the mixture made to flow through this convergent portion, and convergent portion tends to decrease the pressure, but increasing mass tends to increase the pressure. So resulting the pressure remains constant, and the same thing happen in divergent portion. So same thing happened in the throat section as well. So there is some area where there is a possibility of shock occurs. So shock is a kind of normal shock. So due to this and mixing, there is a possibility of normal shock. So the location of shock again depends on a geometric parameter as well as operating parameters of the ejector. But somewhere close to the inlet of the diffuser section, the shock arises. So there are many research papers available on this CFD analysis, how the shock is developed, different locations of the shock, and the parameters which affect on the shock. So there the main pressure rise happens. So in normal fluid mechanics principle, the normal shock is not desirable, but in ejector principle, the shock is desirable because it tends to increase the pressure. So that ejector is also called as a thermocompressor. So pressure rise in ejector is desirable, especially in diffuser section. So then the pressure remains constant here. This is a sudden shock, so sudden pressure rise happens. Pressure remains constant in this particular area. And again, in the diffuser section, the pressure increases because of the increasing area. This is how the pressure varies. So from this particular point, the pressure variation of the mixing. And here, these two lines, this is a pressure variation of primary fluid. This is a pressure variation of secondary fluid. Similarly, the velocity and pressure are inversely proportional. As pressure decreases, the velocity increases. Same thing with the secondary fluid. Then the mixing takes place. In the conversion portion, the velocity tends to increase, but here the velocity decreases because of entrain of the fluid, and because the entrain fluid retards the motion of the primary fluid, so slightly the retardation happens of the mixture. So in the throat section, the velocity remains constant. Because of this sudden shock, as the pressure increases, velocity decreases, and the velocity falls below a supersonic, below the sonic velocity here. So up to this from this particular point, the velocity becomes supersonic. But here, because of the shock, the velocity falls below sonic velocity. Then the pressure remains constant in the constant area section, and in the diffuser section, as the area increases, pressure decreases. This is generally a subsonic flow. That's why as the area increases, the pressure decreases in this particular section. So this is how the pressure and velocity varies in a second type of ejector. So normally these are the two types of ejectors used in practice, but there are more modifications, that is a variable nozzle, the variable openings, and these ejectors are generally made up of either metal or for the metal or plastics also. So these are the as the ejector is the main component of the ejector refrigeration system, we must understand the basic fundamental working principle of the ejector. Now these are the parameters associated with the ejector. So first parameter, the entrainment ratio, the ratio of secondary mass flow to primary mass flow, and it also shows the energy efficiency of refrigeration cycle. So higher the entrainment ratio, higher is the COP of the system, because more fluid is being entered. So practically, this is the ratio of the mass of this secondary fluid to mass of the motive fluid. So this ratio is called as entrainment ratio. Then the second important parameter, that is the compression ratio or lift ratio. So this is the parameter where whatever the secondary fluid is entrained, then the pressure in rise of that secondary fluid, that is called as a lift ratio. So this is a ratio of static pressure at the diffuser section. So this is diffuser section to the static pressure of the secondary fluid at the suction port. So this is called as a lift. So higher the lift, higher is the compression ratio, because this ejector is it replaces the compressor, so its role is also to increase the pressure. So increasing compression ratio is also an important performance parameter of the ejector. So third parameter, that is the expansion ratio. So this expansion ratio is the ratio of primary pressure to the secondary pressure. So pressure at this point to the second pressure. So this is a driving force. So higher the pressure ratio, higher is the entrained fluid. So high entrainment ratio and the high possible discharge pressure are the desired characteristic of the ejector. So high entrained ratio means more fluid is being entrained, more fluid is being sucked. So the suction of the secondary fluid and the compression of that secondary fluid, these are the main desirable parameters of the ejectors. So that is the main role of ejector, that is to suck the refrigerant and compresses it. So the same is the role of the compressor. So these are the performance parameters. So there are some difficulty mode of operations, because ejector working is not going to be easy out. There are some settings required, and it highly depends on the back pressure. Back pressure, that is a condenser pressure. So let me explain the curve. So on the y-axis, we have entrainment ratio, that is a ratio of secondary fluid to the primary fluid. And on the x-axis, we have the condenser pressure. So there are three modes of operation. So we start from this failure mode. If the condenser pressure is very high, if the condenser pressure is suppose at this particular point, so there is a possibility of backflow or malfunction of the mode. Because if the condenser pressure is very high, so what will happen? If this pressure is, if the pressure at the condenser, because this part is connected to the condenser, if the pressure at this point, so, you observe the cursor, if the pressure at this point is greater than this pressure, then there's a possibility of back pressure. And due to this back pressure, the primary fluid doesn't flow through the diffuser section, rather it diverts to the secondary section. So the flow is reverse, the secondary flow is reverse, and the primary flow enters into the secondary flow port. So there is no flow possible. So no flow possible means no fluid is being entrained, as the primary fluid is flows through the secondary port. Then the entrainment ratio is 0. So this particular zone, there is no possibility of the flow. So that is generally happen if the pressure at the condenser is greater than the pressure at the diffuser outlet. So this pressure should be higher than the condenser pressure, then and then the flow is possible. So in this particular mode or in this particular zone, there is a possibility of backflow. So that mode is also called as a failure mode, where the flow is not possible or the reverse flow takes place. The second mode is that is called as a subcritical mode. So when the pressure falls below this point, that is which pressure? That is the condenser pressure. If the condenser pressure falls below this point, then there is a possibility that discharge pressure is more. So in that case, that is a single choking or subcritical mode. So during this flow, only primary flow is choked. So there is no change in mass flow rate of primary fluid. But as the pressure in the condenser side, it continuously decreases. So the entrainment ratio continuously increases because of the increase of entrained fluids. So secondary fluid continuously increases, and due to that, the entrainment ratio continuously increases, and it reaches a peak point. So this is the point where the choking, that is called as a double choking. So from this point onwards, irrespective of your pressure rise, pressure decrease of or condenser pressure decrease, so there is a no change in the entrainment ratio or no change in the fluid. So from this point onwards, there is no change in the flow. So secondary flow and primary flow remains constant, whatever may be the pressure. So your mass flow rate remains constant. Suppose, for example, the continuously mass flow rate remains constant. So these are the three operating modes of the ejector, and mainly it depends on the operating pressure, that is the condensing pressure. So condenser pressure is a driving force for the ejector. So it should be below this particular point for the working of ejector, and it is desirable to have this critical pressure. If your operating point is this, for that particular configuration, the ejector gives the maximum flow rate. So it is advisable to run your ejector system for this operating pressure or this operating condensing pressure. So setting up a condensing pressure is an important parameter. So initially this setting is required. In some cases, sometimes the condenser pressure, if it shoots, there is a possibility of non-working of the ejector refrigeration system. So very few, even there are very few systems, they are still in working condition. Still this ejector refrigeration system is under developing stage, especially if we used in conventional refrigeration system that we are going to see. And that is because of this mode of operation. So these are the three mode of operation of ejector, and all these three mode of operation is because of the variation of condenser pressures. Okay, so if the condenser pressure is greater than diffuser pressure, the backflow occurs. That is called as a failure mode. If if the condenser pressure is less, but if it is in this particular zone, there is single choking occurs, means only the secondary fluid flow increases, primary flow is already choked, and from this point onwards, irrespective of your drop in condenser pressure, your entrainment ratio remains constant. So because y-axis there is an entrainment ratio. So this is how the ejector works. Actually, the steam ejectors, this is not a new concept, because ejectors being used since 70, 80 years. This is a 70, 80 years old technology. Earlier, the ejectors are being used in the steam power plant to remove the condenser, to remove the air or vapor molecules present in the condenser. So such type of big ejectors are present. So this is connected to the condenser. The it acts as a purge valve. So it creates a vacuum, because in steam power plant the condenser runs under vacuum. So create vacuum in the condenser. Such steam ejectors are used. Earlier they were used, but later on this steam the ejectors uh, are still being used in steam power plant for cooling capacity. So this is how the cooling takes place, because here in the steam power plant, some excess steam, if it is available, so that excess steam is made to flow through the primary nozzle. And this steam, it creates low pressure here. And the secondary nozzle or the secondary port, it is connected to one chamber. So this is also called as a flash chamber or vacuum chamber. So because of the low pressure here, whatever the vapor molecules are there, they're stuck and the vacuum is created. And if this pressure falls below vapor pressure of the water, so that is around 7 to 8 degrees Celsius. So that 7 to 8 torr or 7 to 8 mm of Hg, if the pressure is created, so the water starts vaporizing, and if the water vapors, though it takes a latent heat from this particular liquid, and the liquid is being cooled, and this cooled liquid is being circulated to the AC plant for cooling, and the same cold water is returned from the AC plant after absorbing the heat, and it is sprayed in the chamber. So the main purpose of the main function of this flash chamber is the production of chilled water. So the steam power plant can be associated with this cooling system if the excess steam is available. So instead of compressor, if we use the ejector here, so then the high pressure steam is made to flow through the primary nozzle, and it suck the refrigerant, suck the vapor, that is water vapor from the flash chamber. And due to suction of water vapor, the pressure here in the flash chamber falls below atmospheric pressure, well below atmospheric pressure. And because of that, the vaporization of water happens, and that vaporization leads to decrease the temperature, because when water vapor or water molecule evaporates, then it takes up heat from the water. So it takes up heat, and because of the this absorption of heat or the water being cooled, and this is the case, and some makeup water is then added. And then in the diffuser section, then diffuser is connected to the condenser. So the condenser is already low pressure, so there is no question of back pressure. It is more suitable here. So the simple ejector system or simple steam jet refrigeration system is quite the working model is quite working in many industries. Mainly in sugar industry, you will find such type of steam power, this steam jet injector refrigeration system. It is only connected to our normal, because condenser is available there, boiler is available there. Only provision of ejector and flash chamber can develop a cooling system. So this is simple. So that's why this ejector is also called as a thermocompressor, because it also compresses the steam in the diffuser section. This is how the simple steam jet refrigeration system works. This is also a old technology, a 70, 80 years old technology. Uh, Earlier, before the invention of vapor compression cycle, the steam jet refrigeration system is being extensively used. But after the invention of electric motors and vapor compression cycle, its use diminishes because of its low COP. These are some thermocompressors. They are big units because they are used in big power plants, steam power plants. And these systems are especially used in the cooling of electronic equipments or the control cabin there. But now this is an advanced system. Nowadays, because of the energy crisis, as we have already discussed in first, that is, there are two important issues of refrigeration system, that is energy crisis and environment crisis. Because of the energy crisis, when in the vapor compression cycle, so because the compressor is the main source of energy absorption. So the compressor unit, it consumes a lot of energy. So that's why it is necessary to use some compressor-free systems. So because of this energy crisis, this simple ejector refrigeration system comes into the picture. So if you see the compressor system, so this is the compressor system. Suppose the compressor, it sucks the refrigerant from the evaporator, then compresses to a high pressure, high temperature. Then this high temperature, high pressure refrigerant is made to flow through the condenser, where in the condenser, with the help of the cooling medium, the refrigerant get condensed, and the condensed refrigerant is made to flow through the expansion valve before entering into the evaporator, where in the evaporator, the heat is absorbed from the, in this case, this is frozen water tank or the chilled water tank, the heat is absorbed. And because of the absorption of heat, the refrigerant gets evaporated and it's sent back to the compressor. So this is how the vapor compression system works. These three functions of the compressor, suppose the suction of the refrigerant, then increasing its pressure and increasing its temperature. So these three functions can be done with the help of three separate devices. Like suction of the compressor is done with the help of ejector. Then increase of pressure is done with the help of pump, and increase of temperature is done with the help of boiler. So the compressor is replaced by pump, ejector, pump, boiler, and ejector. So this becomes the ejector refrigeration system. So this is the modifications made. Only the compressor is replaced by pump, boiler, and ejector. So now this becomes a simple ejector refrigeration system. Now we'll see how it works. Suppose if we start point one, so generally the point one in vapor compression cycle is the inlet of the compressor. So suppose here we start in ejector refrigeration system, starting point is ejector inlet. So we start from point number one. So this is point number one on the same side. Now we'll discuss the thermodynamic cycle as well. So there are three pressure lines. So for simplicity, we are considering the pressure of the evaporator and the pressure at the nozzle. Here, the pressure at 2 and pressure at 7, they are constant. That is for simplicity. We have discussed in transcritical cycle, ejector expansion type transcritical cycle, where the ejector pressure, the pressure at 2, is less than the pressure at the evaporator. But here for discussing the simple ejector refrigeration system, we are considering, because there is a slight difference between this, slight lower pressure is there in ejector. But for simplicity analysis, we are considering the evaporator pressure and ejector pressures are same. So this is three pressure system. So we consider, suppose this is our evaporator pressure line, this is our condenser pressure line, and this is our generator pressure line. So these are the three pressure lines. So the pressure in the boiler, pressure in the evaporator, and pressure in the condenser. So these are the three pressure lines. So that is evaporating pressure, then boiling pressure, and condensing pressure. These are the three pressure lines. So first, if we draw these three pressure lines, evaporating pressure, condensing pressure, and this is called as a boiling pressure. So we start from point number one. So point number one, that is at the inlet of the ejector, and that is at the inlet of the primary nozzle, and that is coming from the boiler. So at the inlet, at the outlet of the boiler, the pressure is very high. So at the outlet of the boiler, the pressure is very high. So this high pressure, high temperature refrigerant, so considering the simple system, so it is a saturated vapor. So the saturated vapor is being expanded in the expansion in the primary nozzle. So the high pressure refrigerant expanded in the primary nozzle from 1 to 2. So 1 to 2s is the isentropic compression process, and the refrigerant from the boiler expands isentropically through the primary nozzle, and that's why this is 1 to 2s. But actually, in the primary nozzle, there is some nozzle efficiency, and with the help of this nozzle efficiency, actual point is point number 2. So 1 to 2 is the isentropic expansion in primary nozzle, and due to nozzle efficiency, if the nozzle efficiency is 100%, then 2 and 2s coincides. If it is some 70%, 80% efficiency, then 2 points deviates from 2s. So this is actual compression, actual expansion process, and this is a ideal expansion process. Then 3 to 4, we can say 3 to 4, again, this pressure rise in the diffuser. So pressure rise in the diffuser, again, diffuser section, where the pressure rise of the mixing takes place. And if the diffuser has some efficiency, then with the help of that efficiency, we can calculate this 3 to 4s, that is isentropic pressure rise in the diffuser. But if the diffuser has some efficiency, then the actual diffusion process, that is 3 to 4. Then 4 to 5, this is a condensation process, but because 4 point is on the saturated vapor line. So when it enters into the condenser, the refrigerant being condensed, and ideally the saturated liquid is coming out from the condenser. So at the outlet of the condenser, the state of refrigerant is saturated liquid. So at point 5, the fluid separates. That is, one stream goes to the boiler through pump, and other fluid goes to the evaporator through expansion device. So first 5 to 6 is the expansion process. So 5 to 6 is the expansion, and 6 to 7 is the evaporation process. Evaporation process, again, at the entry of the evaporator, it is a slightly it is still liquid, but slightly vaporization takes place because of the flashing. And 6 to 7 is the evaporation. Then 5 to 8, that is the pressure rise in the pump, because pump is used to increase the pressure. And 8 to 1, that is again the constant pressure evaporation in the boiler. So 8 to 1, because of the addition of the heat, the pressure increases. Sorry, the addition of the heat, the refrigerant evaporates. Initially it is subcooled, then it evaporates, and the final condition is 1. Then at point 7, then it 7 and 2 mixes. So there is a mixing takes place of refrigerant at 7 and refrigerant at 2. And considering this at the same pressure, but practically the pressure at 7 is higher than the pressure at 2. So that's why the flow is possible from 7 to 2. But for simplicity, we are considering on the same line. So mixing of 7 and 2 takes place, and the mixing point is point number 3. So this completes the cycle. So this is how the simple ejector system works. Then the working parameters of the simple ejector system, that is the cooling capacity. So cooling capacity with the help of evaporator. So simple, the enthalpy difference across the evaporator is H7 minus H6, and the mass flow rate is M7. So with the help of the mass flow rate through the evaporator and the enthalpy difference across the evaporator, that is H7 minus H6, we can calculate the cooling capacity. Work input, the work input is given to the pump as well as boiler. So 5 point and 1 point, that across this there is enthalpy change. So 5 to 8, there is no enthalpy rise, but the pressure rise happens. And 8 to 1, so that is the enthalpy change. So with the help of this, so here the fluid that is flowing through this particular stream, that is called as M1. So M1 is the mass flow rate, flows through the pump as well as boiler. So M1 into H1 minus H5, that gives you work input. So cooling capacity and work input. So the ratio of these two, it gives COP. So this is how the simple system works. And the entrainment ratio is generally the ratio of secondary fluid and the primary fluid. So secondary fluid is M7 in this case, and primary fluid is M1. So this is a thermodynamic analysis of a simple ejector refrigeration system. So you have a one numerical. So we are also going to discuss one numerical, 1 to 2 numericals on simple ejector refrigeration system. So this numerical can be asked for exam also for 8 to 10 marks, either using pH chart or using table. So that is property table of the refrigerants. So this is thermodynamic analysis. In addition to that, the pressure lift ratio also can be calculated. So it is a ratio of P4 by P7. So P4 is the pressure at the diffuser outlet, and P7, so that is also called as the compression ratio of the secondary fluid, and expansion ratio that already we have discussed in previous slides. So that is the expansion of primary fluid, or the pressure of primary fluid to the pressure of the secondary fluid. So that is called as expansion ratio. So these are some performance parameters associated with simple ejector refrigeration system that we have discussed. So the learning outcome of this particular lecture, so at the end of this particular lecture, you should be able to explain the different types of ejectors and their pressure and velocity variation in the ejector. You should be able to explain the simple ejector refrigeration system, its performance analysis, how the performance can be analyzed, how cooling capacity can be calculated, how work input can be calculated, how COP can be calculated, how entrainment ratio can be calculated. You must know, you must be able to explain that, and explain the working of steam ejector system. Maybe the steam ejector system is not in your syllabus, but still this is the earlier ejector refrigeration system. That's why I have explained that particular. So exam point of view, it has zero weightage. But mainly first 3 point learning outcomes are important for exam point of view. Next lecture, we will discuss the numerical part of just simple ejector efficient system. But first, in depth, you go through this particular lecture and understand this working of ejector, understand the working of simple ejector efficient system, and analysis of ejector efficient system. So that will be helpful for you to understand the numerical part. So numerical part is very important because the numerical part, it gives you a good marks. The You might have gone through the introductory video where the numericals can be asked for 10 marks. So that will be helpful for you. So next lecture, we will discuss numerical of ejector efficient system. Thank you very much.